Hello and welcome everybody to our webinar on SFMC Made Simple, navigating the platform for non-technical users. I see our attendees are slowly trickling in. It's great to see that we have now some folks being interested. I think we got a very interesting webinar for all of you. Today, I'm being joined by my colleague and good friend, Kalen Moss. Kalen, would you please introduce yourself to our audience for those who don't know you yet?
Hey, thanks, Anthony. So I'm Kalen Moss. I am a marketing cloud consultant, instructor, anything you want me to be in marketing cloud. I've done it and I can do it. And I'm here to help you. I've been in the ecosystem for 6 years now, most of it being in marketing cloud, and also have a sales cloud background. And my passion and my desire is to help any and everybody learn this amazing skill and change their life with it. You might hear more about my story later on, but my main goal is to help you succeed in marketing cloud. So that's about me.
Amazing. Thank you, Kalen. And before I introduce myself, I will also add, you'll notice under Kalen's name, there's a mention of Golden Hoodie. So that's an award for people who've done outstanding things. So I saw Kalen's, how he was presented at one of the larger Salesforce conferences. He was called on stage. And what really stuck with me is that Kalen actually managed to teach his mom how to use Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And if anything is impressive, that's it to me, because my mom still has no idea what I'm doing for a living. So it's a little fun aside there. I'll introduce myself too. So I'll be your moderator for today. My name is Anthony Lamotte. I am the CEO and co-founder of a company named Deselect. I'm also a Salesforce marketing champion, just like Kalen, which means we like to just talk a lot about Salesforce Marketing Cloud, basically. With that introduction, I will take you to today's agenda. So what we have in store for you today is we'll start by giving you a Salesforce Marketing Cloud overview and then walk you through those key components. And in fact, Kalen will give you a light demo because of, we only have an hour today, but we'll give you an overview of, what Salesforce Marketing Cloud can do for you. We'll also talk a bit about best practices and then overcoming challenges as a non-technical user. And lastly, we'll share some real-world success stories. At the end, we have a bit of Q&A time foreseen. Having said that, here in Zoom, you should see a Q&A box. Please feel free to post any questions you have throughout the presentation in that Q&A box, and we might actually try to answer them already throughout today's webinar. So without further ado, let's start with a Salesforce Marketing Cloud overview. So as a little warm up here, because we have presumably some people who are relatively new to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Kalen, will you share what was your first experience with SFMC?
Yeah, it's funny. My first experience was I was actually an accidental marketing cloud administrator. I know a lot of people get the accidental Salesforce admin, but I was actually already a Salesforce admin working in sales or service cloud, creating customer support, sort of automation tools inside of Service Cloud. And one day my manager comes to me and says, hey, we had a person who left the company. They took all their marketing cloud knowledge with them, and we need somebody to learn it. Would you be willing to? Now, I was only 2 weeks onto the job, and I said, let's try it. Let's do it. And my manager said, I think this is going to be a really good move for your career. And little did I know it would lead me to be a marketing cloud champion or marketing champion, a golden hoodie winner, speaking at Dreamforce, traveling around the country and around the world now. So needless to say, she was very right about that. That was my first experience, but I'm actually not, haven't always been this experienced in marketing cloud. Starting then, I'm probably where you're at right now, where I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what a data extension was. I didn't know where anything was at. I didn't know what any terms were. There was nothing online. So that was my experience. And that has kind of what led me to where I'm at today. But like I said, we'll get into that more. But my first experience was, you want to learn the system? Let's give it a try. And just ran with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And of course, the community is super grateful for what you have done. And for those who are not familiar with your work yet, I hope they will be by the end of this session, because I think, there's tons of resources that you've created that are really interesting for our audience to look at. Um, as for my own experience, it was a little bit less smooth, I will admit. I did have a background in Salesforce CRM, also Salesforce Pardot, and now it's called Marketing Cloud Account Engagement. It's a mouthful. But it's an entirely beast, it's an entirely different beast. And first starting with SFMC, I was simply lost, to be honest. I was trying to figure out how this thing worked, how everything hung together. On top of that, I was doing some consulting on a more or less known module called predictive intelligence, which is a little bit about personalizing your content. But little did we know at the time that we would actually need Salesforce professional services to activate a lot of the features. It's not something as a user you can do yourself. So that was a very tough lesson to learn. Ever since though, things got a little bit easier, luckily. So great. So thanks also, Kaylin, for sharing your story. What can you actually do at SFMC? Can you give us a bit of an overview, please?
Yeah. So Marketing Cloud, as in a 30-second nutshell, what can you do with Marketing Cloud? Anything and everything related to digital marketing. If you want to send emails, you can send emails. If you want to automate those emails to send out over a period of time that you specify, you can do that. If you want to send text messages, you can do that. If you want to follow up with customers and you have a mobile app, let's say you're a huge retail store. I always wear stuff like Lululemon or Nike. You want to follow up after a customer comes into the store, give them some sort of a discount, do whatever you need to do to get those sales up or build that better customer experience, you can do with Marketing Cloud. You can also now connect it to TikTok. You can connect it to Facebook, Twitter, and you can do some pretty powerful reporting when you start syncing it up with other CRM tools or data analytics tools. So think of it kind of like an open source and somewhat open source sort of software that allows you to do the most robust, most complex or basic, if you want, digital automation processes out there. And what that actually does for a company and the ROI you can sort of see from that is absolutely insane for what you're getting. So Marketing Cloud in a nutshell can do anything. As you're seeing here, you see a lot of use cases, but the biggest thing is think of what you need to get done, and Marketing Cloud can more than likely get it done when it comes to your digital marketing efforts, especially if you combine it with Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. There's pretty much nothing you can't do. So come up with a use case. If you want to throw it in the chat, see what you can do with Marketing Cloud. I'll probably say yes. Anthony will probably say yes as well. You can pretty much do anything you can think of in marketing.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaylin. So yeah, that's a bit of an overview of the capabilities that SFMC has. And thanks, Kaylin, for reminding people. If you have questions, if you have ideas you want to share in the chat, please go ahead. There's also a Q&A section for that purpose. We have a bunch of key terms. When I started with SFMC, again, I was a bit lost, and there's just so much new terminology. We've listed some of the terms here for you on the slide that you'll want yourself to get familiar with. But Kaylin, we won't have time to cover all of these, but what are 3 terms that you think people should know about?
Yeah, so the biggest 3 terms that I think people should know about are related to data processes. And those are, you have a subscriber key. So really understanding what a subscriber key is and how that identifies a customer or identifies a lead or a contact, huge to know about, and how that really affects the entire customer journey. And then the next is, I'm going to combine 2, personalization strings and dynamic content, into one term to really understand. And that is where you can truly start to separate yourself from generic marketers, right? You can start to show people content based on what it is you know about them. which it creates such a higher level of engagement when you think about email marketing or text message marketing. And then the third thing that I really think is important is this ETL down in the bottom right, extract, transform, and load. Marketing Cloud is really powerful when it comes to extracting data out of it and sending it back to tools like Tableau or Slack or even Python if you need to do that, or even R, right? You can do all types of analysis with the data that you send out of Marketing Cloud. But what about loading Marketing Cloud up with data? You can also do that. So you can pull data in from, let's say you use Google Cloud Storage or Amazon S3 or Microsoft Azure or even an enhanced FTP. You can pull all that data in real time with APIs, with file transfers, with import activities. And then one of the most powerful things is using SQL, which is this transforming part where you can use SQL or deselect for the people who need that assistance with SQL and want to have it in a more simple way. Marketing Cloud allows you to transform that data so you can target exactly who you're looking for and send them that message that really matters at the best time for them.
That's awesome. And what I really like about the terms you picked out is you sort of underscored the fact that Marketing Cloud, maybe more than any other marketing automation platform, is really a data-driven marketing automation platform. It's so key to the platform. And that's why understanding these things is important. If you want to, for those who are listening or watching, if you want to learn more about these terms, we'll be sharing some resources where you can go all the way down the rabbit hole on these terms. One thing though that often comes up is data extension. So we've created a 101 for what those things really are. Kaylin, could you please walk us through that?
Yes. So there's two types of data models inside of Marketing Cloud. Lists are going to be a very basic form of a data model. So if you think about a sheet of paper, right, you have a basic sheet of paper where you have a list of your customers. You can put in their email address, their status, whether they're unsubscribed or active. You can also put in their subscriber key. Remember that term? So that subscriber key, and then any other data points that you're storing about them. So male or female, where you're located, gender, or I already mentioned that one, but age, right? Things like that. And you can store data, but it's not as powerful as what's next, which is data extensions. Data extensions, think about an Excel spreadsheet, right? Where you have columns and rows, and you can put in millions of records of information. And it doesn't really slow the system down as much because the way that the data is put into the quote unquote Excel spreadsheet or data extension allows the system to still run really fast while you're doing all your data processes. So look at lists as almost kind of like a 4-cylinder Honda Civic, which I love. You get great gas mileage. But look at a data extension more like that V8 sports car where you can go really fast, really far, and you can modify and customize it however you want it to look and feel. And with that, you can start to see how the lists and data extensions are a little bit different. So hopefully that visual gives you a good representation of the difference between the two.
That's great. Yeah. I've also heard many people compare Salesforce Marketing Cloud to a Ferrari. It's awesome car, but you need to learn how to drive it. And so that's why we're here, trying to teach it to drive you. One other thing I will also add for those who are listening, if you're starting to get your hands dirty with SFMC, maybe at some point your manager or your team might ask a question, should we use lists or DEs, data extensions for data? And here's the thing, there are many comparisons like these, and we want to cover it because almost everyone asks a question about it at some point. However, I have yet to see a first great use case of lists in reality, or a company that actually uses lists. It's just that data extensions are so much more powerful and so much more common and have so much benefits that in reality, I haven't seen it yet, right? I've seen, dozens of companies using Marketing Cloud. So having said that, if at some point in your career you actually end up using lists, let me know. I'd love to learn why that is. So little important nuance here. I mentioned Pardot before, but it is a very different product, and it is positioned as Salesforce marketing, right? And now Pardot is even called Marketing Cloud Account Engagement. However, it's not quite the same as SFMC, is it, Kalen?
It is not the same, and it doesn't look the same either. So once you've played around in both, once you've been in Pardot or a Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, it's going to take some getting used to. But saying that name, that different name. But once you are in Pardot or Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, you'll see just the user interface, just from the second you log in, how different it actually is from Marketing Cloud, and sort of how the system flows is just a little bit different. I personally have seen a lot more of Marketing Cloud in my experience. I have done a couple of projects in Pardot, not enough to become the full-time person that I am with Marketing Cloud. But at the same time, I do want to just emphasize to everybody, remember, it doesn't matter what system you're working with, whether it's Pardot or it's Marketing Cloud, the concept of digital marketing remains the same. The concepts of marketing and marketing automation remains the same. You still have an audience, you still have a message, you still have a story to tell, you still have those segments of your audience that you want to personalize your messages for. So it really doesn't matter which tool you use. I love Marketing Cloud, but Pardot is just another great tool that's under the Salesforce umbrella, that if you know, lots of demand out there as well. But Marketing Cloud is definitely the bread and butter that I've seen most companies using for sure.
And it's true that Part is a great tool in itself, and there's also a lot of demand for people with the skills, just as there are for SFMC. So if you're just venturing into this role, becoming experts in SFMC yourself in your own right at some point, you're probably making a really good career move. Having said that, it is good to have those basic digital marketing, those basic email marketing skills, know what marketing automation is about in general. It just makes you a better marketer, a better technical marketer. It also makes your role much more resilient, especially in today's market, something you'll want to consider. We'll do a quick poll at this point. So let me just pop that out. So to get an idea of where our audience is at. And sorry, folks, I'm getting the poll question out. So here we go. Now you should see a question on your screen, the same as you see on the slides. And the question is, how would you describe your SFMC experience? So I'll give you all a minute to answer that question. So are you a total rookie, but excited to learn? Are you someone who can already work with some of the studios? Or do you consider yourself a Marketing Cloud master? Like Kalen, or do you consider yourself more as a team admin? So I see people are answering. I think we almost have the whole audience has answered at this point. All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's end the poll. Let's see. So pretty unsurprising in a sense, right? Given the title of the poll, we don't have any masters yet. Hopefully we can help you, take those first steps towards masterhood. We have 33% of the audience saying that they're a total rookie, but they're excited. Yay, that's great. We got 50% who has a bit of experience, and then we got actually 17% are team admins. So that's great. That's great. Stop sharing. And so now we've given you an overview. We get a sense of our audience capabilities. Let's start talking about those key components of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Quick in between, if you want to master every Marketing Cloud project with this 5-step process, you might want to scan the QR code right now. That's a great first resource for you. I'm going to share a few of those. So if you want to flash out your phone, get the link, we'll let you do that. Moving on, there are a few key components, and these are Email Studio, Journey Builder, as well as Automation Studio, Content Builder, and Analytics Builder. And I believe, Kaelan, you'll be kind enough to maybe take us through the tool with a live demo. Is that right?
That is correct. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, so before I even go through the demo, I want to show everybody something here just so you're aware of what my mindset is when I'm doing a Marketing Cloud project. That way, when you do projects or when you have a job, or if you already have the job, you know exactly where you're at in the project and you're never confused. So here we go. We're going to talk about the 5-step project process. First and foremost, this is what Anthony just shared with that QR code. So if you want access to this, scan that QR code and then check this out. You'll get an email that shows you this process. So first and foremost, why did I make this? Well, I saw in myself, I had no idea what I was doing in projects. I had no idea how projects actually worked in Marketing Cloud and where I was at. My manager would just give me an assignment and I'd say, okay, I'll do the assignment, the technical part, but I have no idea how this actually fits into the overall project we're working on or the journey we're trying to actually take a customer down. So then as time went on, I kept seeing the same patterns over and over. And one day I was on a call with a consultant who had just built out a full solution for a client. And it clicked. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to write this down. I told him, pause the conversation. I drew everything out and I put this down here. So that's the why, that's the behind the scenes. This will save you so much time. So let's go through what each color means. Blue is the strategy or the step in the process, the high level step. Yellow are the hands-on activities, things you can actually work on and build out in Marketing Cloud. Green things are things that are more conceptual, like sender authentication package or IP warming, reply mail management, which you can still set up, but it's still a concept. Email deliverability, right? Things like that. And then red is just the general area underneath the strategy that we're working on. So Email Studio, Contact Builder, things like that. All right, so let's break it down. There's really only 5 steps to every single Marketing Cloud project, but I have a little bonus step for you here, which is consultant professionalism. First step to every project and what wraps around the entire project is understanding how to run business requirement gathering sessions, create solution design docs, and ask questions the right way so you get the right answer. If you don't ask the right questions, you don't build the right solutions. So you have to know that before you even build anything in Marketing Cloud. So where the technical features of Marketing Cloud start is in setup and administration. So under setup and administration, you have a setup deep dive. You've got to understand business units, roles, reply mail management, different things like that. Understand Marketing Cloud Connect and the packages that you can install. And then things like deployment manager or now package manager. Inside of the setup menu. So you've got to set Marketing Cloud up. Then we have to manage our data. So we have to understand our data. Where is our data at? Where does it live? What is it called? What are the terms I have to know? What do you need to know when it comes to your data? How do you import your data? And how do you segment your data? So we have different areas of Marketing Cloud that hold data, Contact Builder and Email Studio, which we'll look at in the demo here in a bit. And then underneath those, what are the areas within Contact Builder? Why do those matter? And then data extensions, what are those, right? So once you have a full understanding of the data model, the structure of how data is set up in Marketing Cloud, it becomes pretty easy to understand where you're at in the process of importing your data, how to import your data, whether it's a manual import, API import, and then segmenting your data and extracting your data. Now, every step, this is the third step to a Marketing Cloud project, which is creating your content, email messages, and then delivering that content and testing it, making sure it looks good before you send it out. Then you have automation, which includes Automation Studio. I always tell people when you start to use Automation Studio and Journey Builder, that's whenever you can, in a sense, start taking vacation time, right? Because once you start automating things, the system works for you. So my biggest example is I love the beach. If you love the beach, you'll understand this example just as well as I do. You want to automate stuff so you can be out toes in the sand in the beach, sipping on a, pina colada if you want one, and just enjoying life, right? The goal is to have the software do the hard work. That's why I love these tools like Marketing Cloud, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, all these different tools that under the Salesforce umbrella, but particularly Marketing Cloud because I love marketing. But Automation Studio does those data processes for you. So if you want to segment your data, if you want to import your data, Automation Studio will do that. You have the same thing for Journey Builder where you can send those messages out to your customers and have the system doing that automatically. So if someone signs up for your form, let's say on your website, you can send them a series of automated email messages or text messages if you want, and you don't even have to be there to do it. The system does it for you. So that's the beauty of Marketing Cloud right there. It's these automation tools. And then, of course, you've got to report and see how everything works, right? And that's just like life in general. If you do something throughout the day, you reflect on your day, you journal, you take notes, and you improve on the process the next day. Same thing in Marketing Cloud. Last step is reporting. And then you tie that back to this entire process, and you just make the process better and better over time. All right, so that is the visual representation. If you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, the link, Anthony should be sharing that with you. It should already probably be shared, but it was definitely on the last slide that Anthony shared with that QR code. All you need to do is put in your email address, and this will be shipped directly to your email address.
I will reshare the QR code after the demo, and I will also, we will also make sure that any resources, including the presentation and recording, will be made available to the audience.
Perfect. So you'll get that. So that's where that's going to be at. Now let's jump right into Marketing Cloud. Let's get in here and see what I was talking about in there. I'm going to just take you through a tour of Marketing Cloud. First and foremost, I always say homepage. First, most important thing you've got to know about. Cool. All right. So this is the journey, or this is the Marketing Cloud dashboard. This is the homepage. I'm just going to take you through sections. My mind thinks in anything on the internet, everything's in sections. So section 1 is up here at the very top. You have the basics, right? This is just like any other website or app that you're using. You have your setup menu up in the top right. You have your information about your account up here. And then you also have a calendar and the campaigns that you're running. So if you have a marketing calendar for the month of November, you can check that out here. You have this navigation bar, which is section number 2. And what you can see here is all the different places you can go into within Marketing Cloud. So depending on what your company has purchased, you probably will have something else that other people might not see, right? Like I have Einstein right here. Some people may not see that, but these are all the products that you get within Marketing Cloud. And then also we have our journey templates, which is section number 3. And we can look at the different journeys within Marketing Cloud. And I just clicked on one, which should take me to a template, which shows me once it loads up, journey here. So we have a description of what a journey would look like, what you'll need for the journey, link to best practices, and then you can click Get Started and actually build this out. So who here likes building stuff from scratch versus already having the kit set up for you where all you have to do is plug in a few different pieces? I would much rather prefer having templates, which is why I love the fact that you get templates to start off with. But you can also kind of see, what does Journey Builder look like? Remember, this is the automation piece of Marketing Cloud. If a customer, let's say, for example, enters in their email address on your website, you might wait an hour, send them a email. In this example, a customer didn't purchase. Let's say on Amazon, you didn't purchase something. You get a cart reminder to follow up. Hey, we noticed that you didn't make your purchase. Would you like to finish it? If they don't answer that one, then you send them down this path right here, which is, hey, let's give them 15% discount to maybe sign up for this thing or to purchase what was in their cart, right? So depending on the scenario, you can create whatever path you want. And it's really easy to just drag and drop everything in here. You just literally drag it from the left and drop things over on the right. So depending on the scenario, you just add in what's needed. And that is automation. That is Journey Builder. Sorry, that's Journey Builder. So I took you right over to Journey Builder, which is towards the automation piece. But as you can see, that's sort of what you get right there. And then you've got your calendar, which we see up here as well. And then other links. Now, I always tell people, if you're working in Marketing Cloud and you're struggling to figure something out, they already know that people are looking for a bunch of different places to find information. So a really great place to go is the Salesforce Trailblazer community right here, where you can actually search for, certain things that you have questions about right here. And then you can also go directly to help documents and go directly to the community. So always, come back to this if you have any questions. We also have a marketing blog, Salesforce Marketing blog. And it's actually interesting because this blog post right here is a blog post that I just wrote for Salesforce. So we might actually have to share that one with you as well. And that just got published 2 days ago. So really cool. I didn't even expect that to be there. But moving on, we also have some other information here, which is, if you want to learn more about Einstein, if you want to see your analytics, right? If you want to come down and see how your emails are performing, you can check those out here. If you want to check how your automations are working, you can check those out here as well. But one thing I really wanted to show a lot of people, because I know a lot of people are probably touching Content Builder, is I wanted to go directly into creating emails. Because a lot of people wonder, how do you actually create emails in a tool that sends emails from Marketing Cloud? So let's do a quick little demo of what that actually looks like. Some of this content is content that I have created, whether it's through AI tools like Jasper AI or just downloaded from Unsplash. So it's really easy to just go in and create an email. You just click email message, choose the type of email you want to send, whether it's from a template. You have 4 different options when it comes to email templates. You can have your saved templates, themed, empty templates, or basic. Just for the sake of showing you how to do this and how easy it is, we're going to start from scratch right here on a blank page and just name this deselect email template. And we're going to go ahead and click next. And from right here, we can actually start to build our email out. So let's say we want to have a header image up here at the very top, maybe of the deselect logo. With Anthony's permission, I am going to go to deselect and just show you how easily you can pull in data and
That's awesome.
Find info, find images and things like that. So let's go ahead and let's just see if this works. I'm just going to try this. So let's just right click this and copy the link address or copy the image address right here. Come back over to this image block, paste this in, and there we go. You've got an image right there from deselect. If you wanted to pull this one in, I kind of like this one right here. It kind of shows some words as well. So I'm going to just replace it. And what I could do is I could come in and replace it with an image I already have right here, right? So I've already pulled in like a Nike image. I could click that. If I don't like it, I can uncheck scale to fit, and I can just change the pixel size, the pixel ratio here. So if I wanted to do like 200, I could do that. You could change some things up if you want. I'm actually going to delete it and put this other image in. And you see how easy it is to just drag and drop and start creating things inside of Content Builder. It's really not as intimidating as most people make it out to be. But I just wanted to kind of show you that if you would like a more of a presentation on that, let me know. But I'm just going to add in one other thing here, a text block. You can actually pull in a text block and say things like, hey, and then percent, and then in the middle, put a field inside of a data extension and say, check out deselect. And you can actually, once you have something like this percent, pull over data that is you're already storing about a subscriber. So check this out. We have that percent right here, and we're pulling in someone's first name. So notice how that first name is coming from this data extension field right here. And as I move it, I go by each customer, the information is changed. So just from a quick little demo, you can start to see how powerful deselect can get at starting to pull customer data. And you can do that for any one of these columns here. So that is just a quick little teaser of what you can do with Content Builder. We're not going to go into a full-fledged course on it right now, but that's just a little demo of that. Now, the next thing we kind of talked about was Automation Studio, which is where you can do those ETL processes, extract, transform, and load. So let's say that you are creating a process where you want to import your data from your data warehouse somewhere, right? And you want to pull it into Marketing Cloud every single day. How do you actually do that? So you have three options. You can choose to do a daily or weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, whatever you want, scheduled automation, depending on the date. You can do an automation as soon as a file drops. So when something happens, start the automation. And sort of the same thing with the trigger automation as well, where you can pull in information from Amazon S3 or Google Cloud Storage, right? And you can pull in information from those third-party data warehouses. So let's just say we did a scheduled automation and we wanted to do a file transfer where we unzipped and decrypted a file on our FTP. Then we wanted to do an import, a filter. It's all just drag and drop. This is what I love so much about Marketing Cloud is once you figure out what these things do, all you need to do is just drag and drop them into the right location. That's what makes Marketing Cloud so simple. And the only learning curve you really need to learn about is what does the tool do? And what does each little thing inside of the tool actually do for the customer? So as long as you understand what a file transfer does, which is unzips or decrypts a file, and then an import file activity, which just grabs that file from an FTP or wherever you have it and puts it into a data extension. And then filter, if you've ever done a filter where you say, find all the people who live in San Diego, California, it's pretty easy to just drag a field over and say city equals San Diego. So it's really easy with that. SQL query, sort of the same thing when it comes to filter, but if you're a little bit weary on the SQL Studio and you're not really sure how to use it, you are at the right place right now. Anthony and his team are the people to go to for deselect. If you don't know how to use SQL, you do have the ability to have an assistant, at least just have somebody there, have something there to help you segment your data, find the customers. If your data is more complex than just city equals San Diego, you're going to have to use a SQL query. But if you don't know SQL, you're going to have assistance. So that's where deselect comes in. I can't stress that enough. They are the app exchange company to use. And I wouldn't just say that because I wouldn't just be here on this call if I didn't believe in their product. So Anthony's awesome. His team is awesome. And they have a great product. So that's where you start to use tools like that. You can also send emails directly from Automation Studio. If you want to send a monthly newsletter or weekly newsletter, you can actually define what that email should look like. And then let's just say, starting on next Friday at 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m., you can run a weekly newsletter, right? So it's easy to set up the whole entire process. You just set that up. You run the data transfers, the imports, the filters, send the email. The system does it for you. You're sipping Mai Tais, toes in the sand on the beach. That's Marketing Cloud for you. That is Automation Studio. I'm not going to save this one here, but what I am going to do is show you one last area, which is Contact Builder. Very important piece to the whole entire puzzle, which is your data. So you want to make sure that your data is stored somewhere, like a data warehouse or your CRM, and then you have your data model mapped in Marketing Cloud so that you know exactly how your customer information talks to the different tables. So let me just give you a scenario. Imagine if you're Amazon, you work for Amazon, you buy or you go and buy from Amazon. You're a customer of Amazon. You buy products from Amazon. You've bought multiple products from Amazon. And if you say you use Amazon, because I know I have bought a lot of products from there, and I've bought on a lot of different dates and times. And Amazon is storing all that information about me, right? They're storing what has Kaylin bought? Who is Kaylin? Where does Kaylin live? Everything. Literally, I mean, I could go on for days and days about probably how much data they have, but this is where sort of in Marketing Cloud, you can set those relationships up with how to actually set up your customer files to the order purchases or the order history that those customers are related to. So here's a basic one. I've used Nike as an example. So let's say you have a Nike data file that has a customer's Nike ID, their first name, all the way down to how much money they've spent. And that file could link over, or that database table could link over to Nike store data, which is you link through your Nike ID to know which customer is this store related to, their nearest store location, when they've purchased, how much they spent, where did they buy from? Did they buy online? Did they buy in the store, right? Things like that. You can start to relate back and forth, and then Marketing Cloud knows how all the data flows together. So that's Contact Builder. These are data extensions. This is called an attribute group. An attribute group is literally what it sounds like. These things are called attributes. Most people, if they use Excel, would call them columns in an Excel spreadsheet or fields in a database table. This is called an attribute as well. You can call it that. So what it is it's these attributes or these fields or columns all grouped together, an attribute group. So that's all it really is, is attributes grouped together, talking to each other so that you can reference that data when you start using Journey Builder. So that's going to be my overview right now for the system. I know we have about 15 minutes left, but those are about the core 5 areas. 4 of the 5 areas. We also have tracking where we can check our email sends and look at what has actually worked. So if we want to go in and drill in even deeper, we can check out our emails and look at performance rates. Now, these are sort of standard tracking metrics. We can also create email reports where we can look at different reports like our list size over time, how our subscribers have engaged. But really what you're going to be tying this to more than likely is a tool like Marketing Cloud Intelligence or sending your data back over to Sales Cloud reports and dashboards. Or you're going to be exporting this data and sending it to a data analyst so they can do their analysis in Python or R or something like that. So all the data is being stored in Marketing Cloud. A lot of times what I've seen, though, is that data is being exported back to a tool that Salesforce owns, like Marketing Cloud Intelligence or Sales Cloud. So that is actually it. That's actually officially it for the demo right now because I wanted to cover all 5 areas. But remember that chart that I showed you right here, that is this chart personified. So everything that I showed you on this chart is every single one of those steps, but in a step-by-step process. So that's it for the demo. I'm going to stop sharing and I'll send it back over to Anthony.
Thanks, Kalen. That's awesome. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get to data design, and we actually had someone ask a question about that. Obviously, data design is a very extensive subject in itself. So if you want to learn more about it, I actually shared an ebook about data management in Marketing Cloud in the chat that you hopefully find useful. And I've also shared, meanwhile, the link to this great resource that Kalen was showing, so you'll find it in the chat. So moving on, you guys should be seeing my screen again. Let's do a quick poll. Like, we just showed you a lot of stuff, but we are actually curious what studio you use most often. So I'll launch the question, and you should be seeing the question now on your screen. So what studio do you work the most with? Is it Email Studio? Is it Journey Builder, Analytics Builder, Content, Automation Studio, or maybe something else that we haven't even discussed yet or touched yet? And if it's something other, I would very much love to hear what it is. So feel free to mention that in the chat. So I see we got a few answers coming in here. Love the interaction, by the way, people. Always makes it a lot of fun as a presenter and as a moderator. All right, so I'll give you 3, 2, 1. And let's look at the results. So it seems like everyone is basically spending most of their time in Email Studio or Journey Builder. In fact, Email Studio wins by a great margin of 78%. So thanks for sharing that. That's also interesting for us, by the way, because it teaches a little bit about where we want to create more content about in the future. So back to the presentation. So we've given you an overview. We've explained very briefly what all these modules are for, to the extent that we can within 1 hour. But we also wanted to make some time to share best practices. And one of those best practices really has to do with campaign planning, goal planning. Kalen, in your role and in your experience, what have you seen to be, very helpful in this regard?
Yeah, I would say the word planning right here is the best word on this screen. A quote that's been coming up just the past couple of days for me is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I know it's cliche, I know it's said a lot, but it's so true. This is why in that Lucid Chart document, the very first thing I mentioned was requirements gathering, solution designing, things like that, really making sure before you begin any project, you know exactly what you're building out. That way you do know what your KPIs are. You do know what your timeline is. You do know who owns a specific task inside of your project, right? That way you're not stressed out. You're not wondering if you did a good job. You know what excellence looks like. So my number one piece of advice is get really, really, really good at asking the right questions and come up with templates, come up with a format, come up with a system for understanding exactly what clients are looking for or your manager is looking for. And that really just comes from, thinking about what are they looking for and which questions do I need to ask to lead me to that answer. A great start that I have, if you want to reach out to me, I actually just wrote a blog post about that exact process and the system I use to ask the right questions. So that's another tool I can add in there for you. But that's my biggest piece of advice and best practice for success is plan and follow the plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Kalen. I can take the next one. So one thing that I'm huge on is A/B testing. Back when I still ran marketing, it was one of my favorite activities because you get to formulate hypotheses and experiment and see what actually works. And that's a great way, by the way, to gain momentum with leadership and really make them understand the value of what you're doing. And that's also what marketing optimization should really be about. So, for instance, within Email Studio, the simplest A/B test you can do is to send 2 versions of an email and see how they perform. Similarly, you can set something up like this in a more automated way. In a journey, you can have random splits in your audience. So your audience is randomly split within the journey, and you send them 2 different emails. And by the end, you can, again, look at the differences. You can go even more granular. Now, what I'm going to share now is an advanced technique I executed for one very well-known large automotive company. We would use different variations of personalization. And there's a little bit less well-known feature in Marketing Cloud. It's a bit hidden. You need to activate it with support. It's called the send log. The send log. And what it allows you to do is within your emails, you can define variables. For instance, variable A could be, the personalization, the subject line you're going to do. Variable B could be, okay, what is the variation of the image that we're going to use, and so on and so on. And so we would be sending out these emails with all these strings in them, defined and mapped to to different subject lines, to different content pieces, and that gets captured automatically in this send log. Afterwards, then you need to do the analysis of that data. You need a separate tool for that and extract that data, but they can give you very granular testing. So if you're interested in exploring that, check it out. So that was A/B testing. One more, and I'll pass this one to you again, Kaylin, because you were already talking about personalization before. Can you shed a little bit of light? And I know you've covered some of this, but just as a little recap here.
Yeah, so I would say the number one thing here is, best practices for success when it comes to personalizing, automating these data activities is really, I know this is going to sound cliche once again, but you have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself that you can learn this stuff. I promise you, 1 week of learning the basics of AMP script and the basics of what is going on in Automation Studio to personalize and automate these tasks is going to set you up for years of success. I waited for years to learn how to do the basics in AMP script. And then I learned it in 7 days. I'm like, why did I take so long to do that? I just devoted 45 minutes a day. So my best practice is just get into the documentation, learn what these things are, like learn the basics of AMP script, learn an if function, learn a for loop, and learn the basics of the lookup rows and lookup functions inside of automation or inside of AMP script. If you do that, you'll be so far ahead of the rest of the world, it won't even be funny. And then you'll have the confidence to move on to the next thing, which is more advanced AMP script, SQL, SSJS if you want. But best practice, read the documentation, devote 45 minutes a day to it, just reading it, just understanding what it does, why it works the way it does. Do your research, and you will set yourself up for so much success. It'll be ridiculous. So that's my best practice advice. Nothing works better than having confidence in yourself, but that only comes from just studying.
Don't be afraid from the technical stuff. You'd be amazed if you just try a little bit in, and even if you don't become an expert, just having a little bit of basic know-how about these things, you suddenly, it's not scary anymore, basically. All right. So overcoming challenges as a non-technical user, we imagine we have quite a few, Salesforce Marketing Cloud newbies, maybe people who come from a non-technical background. So here's a question for you, Kaylin. What is something you learned the hard way that you wish someone had told you much earlier in your Marketing Cloud career?
It's funny, these questions, I literally just answered these either the past week or 2 weeks. Something that I wish, or something that I learned the hard way, but this also came from outside study too. This came from me reading books and listening to podcasts and things like that, is you have to understand business, how business works, and you have to understand the basics of how a database works. So if you just take a quick little 1 hour course on how a database works, what a database is, 30 minutes to 1 hour will answer so many questions. There's so many good people on YouTube. Find the person that resonates the most with you to learn that. And then understand the basics of business. Like, what is a lead? What is a contact? What is an account? What is an opportunity? Why do managers want reports? What are they looking at when they're looking for reports and dashboards? What are the basics of business that basically Marketing Cloud does for these businesses? Marketing Cloud is used in these Fortune 500 companies. You have all of these companies that are just automating all of their digital processes. It is all about business, understanding how business works, and understanding how these databases work and talk to each other, and how these automation tools like Automation Studio and Journey Builder use that data from the databases to automate all of these tasks. That's what I wish somebody would have told me, is just learn the basics of that and you'll be so far ahead. But I had to learn it the hard way. I read a whole bunch of books. I finally learned about the basics of business, which I love now. And that's my biggest piece of advice to you. Save yourself years of time.
Great advice. So one piece of advice I would give from my end is that when I was starting out, I didn't know there were these free search plugins for Marketing Cloud that people had created. And we got so inspired by that, we said like, wow, we want to do something like that too. And so we ended up creating probably one of the most advanced search tools there are out there. It's called Deselect Search. You can get it on the App Exchange, which is like the app store for Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I'll share it now with everyone here in the chat. Check it out. Just so you know, there is a small technical issue on the Salesforce platform side right now. So you have to follow one extra step to install it, and it's explained in a link on the listing. So if the installation doesn't work out, make sure you double check the description. It's possible that that issue is appearing for you, and you have to click on that link on the description. All right, we only have 2 more minutes. So I'm just going to mention very briefly, there's tons of resources out there. As you can probably tell, Keelan and I have been bombarding you with them. Keelan's Minute Admin is just excellent, especially, for someone. It's just great. His journey is great. As you can hear, he didn't know all this stuff before. He found out himself, and then he created a fantastic platform that essentially, resulted in him getting awards from Salesforce. So check it out. On the Deselect side, on our side, we recently launched the Marketing Cloud University. Again, the link is right now in the chat. Subscribe, tons of content, but there's others. There's Trailhead, there's How to SMC, there's a great Reddit channel, there's a great Slack channel called Email Geeks. All of those are excellent. I'm going to skip this last poll, but I will mention one other thing, and that's also because someone asked a question in the chat, and that is Segment Studio for Marketing Cloud, aka Deselect Segment. In Marketing Cloud, you can do very advanced segmentation and data manipulation, but it requires SQL. SQL is code. Not everyone gets super excited about that, especially non-technical marketers, like I used to be at some point, right? And so I used to write SQL courses and teach people how to do that. That's what I did in my past consulting life, but it wasn't always ideal. And I ended up coming with an idea that turned into a platform and into a company, and that is Deselect. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I've already shared the link to Deselect Segment in the chat, but just for good measure, here's it one more time. So you might want to check it out. There is these days a free version of the product. You have all the features of our lowest tier, just limited in usage, but for people in smaller organizations, it can actually be enough. Just be aware that just for the search app, I mentioned before, that so for some people, there's an issue when they try to do installation. There's something on the Salesforce App Exchange there. Instructions on how to circumvent that, however, are in the description of the listing. So if you encounter an issue, check out that extra link with instructions how to circumvent it. We are coming up at time, so I'm just going to skip to our last slide here. There's a QR code that lists the Deselect Segment. There's a QR code that lists the Minute Admin. However, those links have been shared in the chat. I would like to thank the audience today. Great interaction, great questions, and I want to thank especially Kaylin for making the time. Kaylin, is there some parting advice you would like to share with the audience?
Yes, biggest piece of advice is get connected with the community. The fact that you're here is a testament to your drive. Don't lose that. Stay in touch with the community. Stay in touch with me. I send out a weekly email, all things related to Marketing Cloud. So Marketing Cloud job opportunities, pieces of wisdom, advice, learning lessons along the way. Just go to minuteadmin.com. Stay connected. I will keep you connected with the community. We've got a Facebook group. My biggest piece of advice is just stay connected, and this journey is completely worth it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kaylin. And I think, yeah, the community aspect is absolutely true. I know Kaylin likes to interact with his audience. So do I. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn too, or even shoot us a question. In any case, thank you for being here, for sticking with us till the end. And of course, resources, presentation, and video will be shared. Thank you and have an awesome day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.